How much information should you be giving out on social media, and are you actually giving out too much? This reminds me of a quote from a guy named Alex Hormozi, and he says, "Make your free shit better than their paid shit." And I think it's a phenomenal quote, and I have to be honest, when I was a coach, I was often afraid of putting out too much information on social media. I felt like I was giving away, all my expertise, all right? And in this video, I want to break down why that thought is absolutely nuts, and why I don't want you to fall into the trap of hostaging information, okay? Let's get to it. All right, in this video, I'm going to be breaking this topic down into two parts. The first part is going to be about how to create content consistently and put it out in a way that brings you more clients, okay, and helps you convert.
Money, please! Money, please.
Okay, helps you monetize your expertise. The second part is going to be about why you might not want to put out too much content, okay, and what pitfalls you essentially want to avoid. All right, so for the first part, I'm going to be revisiting that phrase that I just mentioned, hostaging information, okay? This is a scarcity mindset, and you want to move as far away from it as possible. And I do want you to be smart with what you put out, okay? I'm not saying that you should stress yourself and put out every single thing trying to solve every single problem. And the great thing about social media is you can't do that, and I'll explain why. The biggest mistake that people, I shouldn't say it's a mistake, it's a challenge that coaches, practitioners, okay, of any kind, right? Personal trainers, therapists, okay, they don't know how to break down information, okay? When I was doing YouTube videos as a coach so many years ago, I remember that I struggled to make a video that was less than 10 minutes. And it was because I was trying to be so thorough in my topic. If I was trying to talk about low back pain or knee pain, I would just keep going down the rabbit hole of how you can try and solve this problem, because I wanted to do right by my audience. Now, fast forward, right? It's crazy because something on Instagram, a long form video is like 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes. And I remember the evolution of my ability to go from 10 minutes to 5 minutes to 2 minutes to even 10 seconds. And really what it comes down to is the skill of compartmentalizing information. So if you have a problem that you are solving for your audience, generally speaking, as a coach or practitioner, I as a starting point, I want you to think about marketing yourself in one of two ways. One, you either solving a specific problem, okay, or two, you are working with a general type of person, okay? So once you have identified what audience you're speaking to, and you start to create content that solves a problem for that particular audience, we need to start to almost create like a pathway of the starting point to an ending point. It doesn't have to be the ending point, but somewhere, okay? And you need to learn how to take bits and pieces of that path, of that journey, and break it down into individual bites, okay? So for example, if I have something that's oriented around my, let's say, health, this is just a generalization, right? I have physical components of that. I have mental or psychological components of that, spiritual components of that, if that's what your alignment reflects. And you can break down, the nuances of each of those, right? So if it's something oriented around like low back pain, right? Maybe I want to talk about like low back pain directly. Like maybe I want to talk about some form of a release or a mobility drill or a strength training exercise, something that solves it. And you're just going right into it. This is what I'm doing. And I'm not going down any other rabbit holes. Maybe you can take the coping mechanisms, the addictions, right? The emotional or mental behaviors that are oriented around somebody with a sedentary lifestyle that creates back pain. Maybe you want to take it all the way back down to childhood, their childhood, right? And essentially what I'm talking about is just this big rabbit hole of how somebody develops back pain. And maybe it does have something to do with their genetics or emotional disposition, their traumas, okay? All sorts of these things are oriented around back pain. And what I need to be able to do is compartmentalize that information and deliver it. And that's a whole other science or craft, right? Be able to deliver it in a way that grabs my audience's attention. So the first part about not hosting information, just put it all out there, but we need to learn how to break it down and maybe even repurpose it, taking one particular topic and describing it in a variety of different ways, okay? And there are all sorts of things that we can get into with that, but essentially what I'm talking about is move away from the scarcity mindset. Do not be afraid to put it all out there. Now, before I get to the second part of this topic, I do want to invite you, hit that subscribe button. Helps the channel grow, helps me be consistent with dropping these knowledge bombs every week. Now, the second part of this topic is really about why creating too much content can actually hurt you. And on some level, this actually might be a question of posting frequency. How often am I posting? And there are nuances to this, okay? But let me just give you the fundamental point here. Oftentimes, again, as a coach or a practitioner, if you are posting too much, you may become too accessible. And let me give you an example here. Maybe you are a personal trainer or some sort of movement coach, and you're putting out all these movement videos, right? And you're putting out in such a way that you're not really directing your audience to any sort of like a lead magnet or any sort of venue to interact with you further. You're not giving any sort of like calls to action. You're just putting out content. At that point, your audience may be taking it upon themselves to just like follow you for these fancy movements, okay, or all of these tips. Okay, it doesn't have, I said movement, but maybe you're just dropping information repeatedly about a particular topic. Okay, you're not diversifying your content, and now your audience doesn't really have a reason to, to contact you or work with you, okay, because you are becoming too accessible. Now, objectively speaking, posting more, creating more leads to more growth. So I can't objectively sit here and say that, oh no, you shouldn't post frequently. What I'm saying is that we need to consider what we're posting and how we're diversifying our content, and what sorts of actions we're taking to get in contact, to build relationships. It's not even social media anymore, right? It's not even a matter of just putting yourself out there. It's relationship media. We need to be able to develop relationships.
I guess you could say I just want to have a meaningful relationship.
Okay, develop relationships without being too accessible, so much so that your audience does not want to or does not have a reason to connect with you further. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope it brings some value to your practice, to your brand. I do want to invite you once again to hit that subscribe button. My name is Jeremy Baruman. I will be dropping videos every week. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.